Good morning and thank you for joining me. I'm Elizabeth Jade with my RiskyPants blog, and right now we are doing a series on relational boundaries. So far I've already written one post. It's up on my website, and in that one I go into 4 basic assumptions, basically things that I'm assuming that you and I can agree upon that make a relationship a healthy one. So in this video, I'm going to delve into one of those concepts a little bit further. So my 4th assumption that I brought up in that initial post is this. In a relationship, it is my role to control myself and not control you. Likewise, your job is to control yourself and not to control me. So I wanted to talk about in this video the other side of that same coin, which is not only am I committed to not controlling you, but I'm also committed to taking responsibility for myself. So let me give you a little scenario. Okay, so in this scenario, you and I are familiar with each other. Maybe we're friends or family or even co-workers. So you see me quite a bit, you know me pretty well. Maybe you can even predict what my mannerisms mean or what how I'm gonna respond in a situation. So you get some exciting news and you come find me to tell me this news. And you might be just jumping for joy or excited, have a big smile on your face, and you might expect that I'm going to be excited with you and for you. So you come to me, you tell me your news, and instead of jumping for joy or smiling or whatever it would be that I might normally do when I'm excited for you, instead of that, I just sort of shrug my shoulders, mumble, hey, that's awesome, and just kind of walk away. So at this point, you don't know what I'm thinking, and I don't know what you're thinking in this scenario, but all you know is that you're hurt. So at this point, if you were to come to me and tell me about your hurt, what would be my responsibility? So the thing is, I can only take responsibility for what I'm in control of. Likewise, you can only take responsibility for what you're in control of. So the reality is that you're in control of your emotions. They're yours and they're actually your responsibility. Now, in this scenario, I'm responsible for my behaviors as well as my emotions. But what you get to see is my behaviors. You don't get to see what's under the surface. You don't get to see what I'm thinking. And it turns out that my actions, my behaviors, what's on the outside of me, created an environment that maybe wasn't safe for your emotions and might have led to your hurt. And so, although you're responsible for your emotions, I'm responsible for my actions. So the reason why I bring that up is because it's helpful to know what we are responsible for in any kind of situation, but especially for a conflict. When we know what we are responsible for, when we know what our responsibility is, it gives us the freedom to move forward in a conflict with grace. Because you in that situation, being able to recognize, hey, these are my emotions that I'm experiencing. No one else is experiencing these the way I'm experiencing them. And yes, I am in control over my emotions. Then what you can do at that point is then come to me and communicate those emotions without sort of forcing them on me or forcing me to take responsibility for them. Because what happens in those kinds of moments, when we're really emotional, when we're feeling hurt, and we come to other people and we display our hurt in a way where we're actually putting our emotions onto them, it actually becomes a form of manipulation. And what that does is it takes away the freedom for that person to take responsibility for their part in that conflict. And so we don't want to do that. We want people to have freedom in our relationships, and we also don't want to be in relationships with people where we've coerced them into behaving or responding a certain way. So manipulation and taking responsibility, they're mutually exclusive. So you cannot be manipulating someone else and expecting them to actually really take responsibility for themselves. So if you want a loved one to take responsibility in a healthy and productive way in your relationships, then you need to be committed to not manipulating them and not forcing them to own things that actually aren't theirs to own. And believe it or not, your emotions aren't theirs to own, but they can own their actions, and they can own how their behaviors have affected your emotions. There is a difference. Let's return back to that scenario from before. Okay, so I've just blown you off. Like, there's no denying that I've blown you off. You weren't expecting that, and it hurts you. But what you don't know is that I had just been yelled at by someone that's important to me. And I hate being yelled at, and it makes me really emotional. And so I am just trying to beeline it to the bathroom so that I can have a good emotional cry, because that's what I would do. But on the way to the bathroom, someone, you, that I love, come to me to tell me some exciting news, and I want to be there for you because I love you, but I'm also going through this emotional turmoil. And so in that moment, I might be a little bit conflicted, and yes, making the best effort that I can to be there for you. And unfortunately, that best effort looks like me blowing you off, and that's not cool, and that is sad. And so although I might have had a good reason behind my actions, I need to be committed enough to you and to our relationship to not allow my reasons for my behaviors to be degraded down to excuses. So while manipulation is the domineering response to conflict, making excuses is the defensive response to conflict. Neither of those things are what we want, because both of those things are in direct opposition to us taking responsibility. We want to take responsibility for our part in a conflict. That's the loving thing to do. And so when we love ourselves enough, we can love other people enough to take responsibility and trust that it's all going to work out. So in that scenario, when you come to me to share your emotions with me and how my behaviors have affected you, at that point, it is my job to take responsibility for myself, which looks like acknowledging your emotions and saying, yes, this was what I did, I apologize. And at that point, if I want to offer a reason behind my behaviors and say, hey, you know what, I was actually in a really emotional state myself, and I didn't want to rain on your parade, but honestly, I was choking back tears, that's fine, as long as I'm taking responsibility for my actions. So an excuse then is anytime we offer a reason for our behavior without also taking responsibility. And people can tell when you're taking responsibility or not. I've had many times when people have offered an explanation for their behavior, and while it helped me to understand where they're coming from, because it's good to understand our friends and our loved ones, they still didn't take responsibility. And so at the end of that conflict, I still left feeling like it was a little bit open-ended. There wasn't a lot of closure. So we want to create an environment in our relationships where at the end of a conflict, we are actually feeling closer, more connected to the people that we love, and not more disconnected, and taking responsibility, whether that means avoiding manipulative behavior and avoiding making excuses. That will help us stay connected to the people that we love. So that's it for today. Thank you once again for joining me on this journey talking about relational boundaries. I'm so excited to keep going with you on this. It's been a lot of fun. So I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.